Dave. I think this hatch might be jammed again. Oh, hello, Wandering Curator Evan here. Yep, hatches can jam. In this case, I was just being silly. But, you know who wasn't silly? Captain Tom Jones. His EVA was canceled because they couldn't get a hatch on the orbiter open. You're going to hear that story as well as a little humorous one about the gift giving tradition astronauts partake in on the day they lift off. Thank you very much for watching.
Astronauts Tammy Jernigan and Tom Jones are with us. The two of you, thanks for letting us be with you in the middle of your day. We can't start without talking about the fact you didn't get to go outside and conduct your spacewalks. Everybody on Earth is talking about it. What went through your mind when you tried to turn that hatch handle and it didn't work?
Well, initially I just thought we had a sticky hatch, and the fact that Tammy's initial rotation wasn't able to free it up was just an indication that we'd have to put a little bit more elbow grease into it. She certainly tried and then asked me to give it a shot, and I wasn't able to budge it either. And we were both putting out about the maximum force we ever tried to put in to mechanical systems in our water tank training back in Houston. And so at that point I started to think that we had a jam of some sort that our strength wasn't going to be able to overcome. And so during those 2 hours in the airlock, while we juggled our bodies around and tried to find a more mechanical advantage, well, disappointment naturally comes into our feelings, and I hope for better times on future missions where I'm assigned to a spacewalk. I'll be an optimist about that too.
So go back to my third mission, STS-80, and we had two spacewalks canceled. Tammy Jernigan and I were the spacewalkers. We were denied our birthright to go spacewalking because of a jammed hatch opening mechanism. Basically, the door handle was jammed. And there was a machine screw that had drifted loose in weightlessness and gotten embedded in the gearing mechanism for that doorway or that doorknob. Couldn't go outside. Spacewalks canceled. And so we had a couple of extra days of canceled spacewalk time that we had to make do with. So we decided as one of our goals pre-flight, we were going to film a public service announcement in support of the whole national effort to have people agree to donate their organs if they're fatally injured.
The organ donor program has the potential to benefit millions of Americans. We are here to show our support for this program by signing organ donor cards in space.
To give a part of you to someone who is in need is one of the most generous and caring things that you can do. You continue to live in the life of someone else.
By becoming an organ or tissue donor, you can directly help friends, relatives, neighbors all across America. You can touch lives in ways you've never imagined.
And so, you have a little card that says, I'm an organ donor. You carry it in your wallet. And if the worst comes, that somebody else could benefit from your organs. Well, we didn't get to do the spacewalks, but we did have time to do the public service announcement. And so we did the public service announcement straight and said, please be an organ donor up here in space floating. And then my crewmate, Kent Rominger, said, Tom, I really feel bad for you about that spacewalk. He said, I bet you would have given your left nut to get out there on that spacewalk. And I said, yeah, you're right. And then both of us went, bing, the light bulb went off. And we said, we just did an organ donation announcement. Let's do a fake organ donation announcement with that line in there. So we did it straight, saying it's time to be an organ donor. It's a great cause to sign up for. Tammy and I were on camera. And she said, I said, I would have given my left nut to go out on that spacewalk. And she said, and I would have given his right one. And so we did that little video, which cracked up the astronaut office when we came home. It was a great hit. But the left nut donation, the organ donation, wound up on STS-98. And so on the launch pad, strapped in, ready to go, they were getting ready to close the hatch. And Ray J. Johnson, my colleague in the astronaut office, had finished strapping us in. He was about to say goodbye. And he says, hey, Tom, I have a gift for you from Tammy, who was not on this flight. She had flown her own spacewalk a few months earlier. So he came and gave me a Ziploc bag. He goes, it's a gift from Tammy. And inside the Ziploc bag was a walnut. And it said Tom's left nut on the tag. And a gift from Tammy Jernigan. So it was a very good gesture, and it cracked me up. And just the kind of tension release that you need a few tens of minutes before liftoff.
Where did you put it?
stuffed it in my clothing locker, and I think I still have it.
That tradition goes far back to the Apollo days.
Trophy trout. Now the story on this one is rather interesting. I was up in my normal station at the White Room, 365 feet above sea level, and the flight crew showed up, and after a while I could smell something like what smelled like fish. Now that was very strange to me, because why would it smell like fish at 365 feet up? I thought nothing of it, and we exchanged little presents with Aldrin and with Armstrong, and the last one to get in was Mike Collins. Now when his turn came, he reached behind him and he had a brown paper bag in my nice clean White Room, which was illegal to begin with, and out came this trout, mounted like that, as a trophy trout. He says, now you have a trout for your wall. There were only three things wrong with it. To begin with, it is only 8 inches long, which is illegal size. Secondly, it wasn't cleaned, and thirdly, it wasn't preserved.
And I've always wondered, where do you put it? So just whatever locker you have available, whatever storage area.
Yeah, Evan, if you were up there on a shuttle mission, you'd have your own personal clothing locker. That's where all your underwear and socks and T-shirts and stuff are. And then there are some common lockers that the crew has access to that let's say you're going to contact a school classroom back on Earth. You might have an inflatable globe that you blow up. It's stuffed in that locker too. So that was the special flight data file is the name that we had for that locker. So there were a couple of choices of places he could stuff things like that. And on that mission in particular, I brought up an Baltimore Orioles baseball cap that would go in that locker. So these educational materials that were props for video downlinks or radio conversations, some kind of a prop that we needed, we would stow in that locker. So that's where they put things like that walnut. It was safely kept until we got back.